Okay, thank you everybody for being here today. Obviously, we are tours. Normally, I go around and talk to everybody in their classrooms, and these teachers are there, and we get a feel for the different things that are happening at school. But today and in this time, I'm going to be able to show you a video and kind of interview. So basically what I'm going to do is walk around to each of you and have you talk about your subject area and give us some things. I've given you some ideas of what I want you to talk about, and if I have something else, I'll make sure and ask you. But we're going to start with sixth grade. So sixth grade is a pretty big year at Seabury, and we have kids who come here from every kind of background you could imagine. We have kids who come from public school, private school, homeschool, everywhere. And so we limit the class size to 28 students in sixth grade. And we are very intentional about that because we want to be able to make sure that those kids get adjusted and get their feet wet and understand sort of the Seabury way. So one of the important places in sixth grade is language arts. Krista's a member of the language arts team and also the sixth grade team. And the sixth grade team meets weekly and talks about kids, but today I'm gonna have Krista put on her language arts teacher hat. And Krista, if you could kind of talk to us a little bit about sixth grade language arts at Seabury and what that looks like for kids when they come into sixth grade.
Sure. So hi, everybody. So sixth grade English meets twice a day. That's the only subject in the whole school that meets twice a day. And we purposely set up English that way in sixth grade so kids can get comfortable reading and writing at the levels expected when they go on through their career at Seabury. Sometimes I divide the class into one class period is dedicated to reading and one class period is dedicated to writing. My whole philosophy in the program is teaching kids how to read like a writer and write like a reader. So as we're reading a text together, we're examining how the author is making us feel, right? So you've all read a book where a student or where a character is making you really, really angry. And so when we encounter a character like that, I have them stop and ask, how did the author make us feel angry? What are the tricks the author is doing here? And then in November, students participate in National Novel Writing Month, which is where they write legit many thousand-word novels in 30 days. And so we use all of that reading time in the beginning of the year to focus on those authors' tricks so we can use them for our own novels. So students write novels that are anywhere between 6,000 and 18,000 words in 30 days. And then they publish those novels in December. The students actually go on Amazon. Their novels are on Amazon.com, real deal Amazon. And then they also get paper copies of the book that have a barcode and an ISBN and a cover they've designed. And so it's an incredible project for them to walk out of sixth grade being like, I wrote a novel, I can write an essay, no problem. So sixth grade is all about just building up their reading skills and their writing skills, getting everyone on the same page. So when they go on in their college preparatory English program at Seabury, they have a bag of skills that they can draw from. And we also have a lot of fun too.
Great, thank you so much. That's it's always a highlight at the school. The kids all remember writing their novels, and it's always fun for them to kind of reflect on that. Okay, we're gonna leave Krista's room now, and we're walking down the hall, and we're going around the corner, and we run into Michael Pulcinelli. So Michael is the chair of the English department here, and he also teaches 9th grade and 12th grade English. And today what I'm gonna do is have Michael talk a little bit about what that looks like and what sort of the themes are, and build on that, the English part that Krista talked about, and we'll go from there. So if you would be able to talk about the scope and sequence of English as students move through Seabury, and what does that do to help them get ready for college?
So, hi everybody. Once students leave Krista's double dose of English, they encounter a series of years where we pose as teachers some essential questions each year. So for instance, in 7th grade, students will examine the question, what does it mean to be a human? In 8th grade, what does it mean to be part of a community? And in 9th grade, what does it mean to be a hero? And then in 10th grade, what does it mean to live a good life? uh, as part of all of those years, students will keep working on all of those foundational deep reading and writing skills, but also they get that question at the back of all the books read that year and that essential question at the back of many of the writing assignments that year, with the idea that they're developing those important skills, but then they're also by the end of the year seeing the big picture of why somebody would want to study literature. Um, then when students get into the final years at Seabury, it gets a little more traditional. 11th grade is going to be mainly a study of American literature, and 12th grade mainly a study of British literature with some other world texts sprinkled in there as well. Both 11th and 12th grade are not designated necessarily AP courses, but students will be prepared to take both of those APs at the end of those school years. I think the best part of English at Seabury is the small class sizes, because most notably, we are able to do deep reading and process-oriented writing. In other words, I can assign for any essay an outline and get students' feedback, a rough draft and get students' feedback, and then a final draft and a revision and get students' feedback all along the way, so that they see that writing and reading too is not just a one-shot deal. They should work on it as a process, something that you're really not able to do when you have a load of, say, 140, 150 students, but at Seabury, we can do that. And our number one comment that we get from students coming back when I ask them how their college English courses is going is that they feel that reading and writing at the college English level is a breeze. So thanks very much, everybody.
Thanks, Michael. Yeah, the kids definitely talk a lot about Michael's course and what they learn and what they gain from that going into college. And so it's just and all the English classes, it's a huge piece of the curriculum here. So I appreciate Krista and Michael sharing that information with us. So now we're going to meet with Sonia Zarnecki. So Sonia teaches 9th grade world history. So she's in our social studies department here. And I asked Sonia to come on and talk a little bit about the scope and sequence of the social studies as students move through Seabury, and talk about some of the skills that they do in that department that really help kids get ready for college and prepare for that. So Sonia, thanks for being here, and we're gonna go into your room now.
Yeah. Okay. If you could be in my real classroom, you'd see I have a wall map of the world that fills the whole wall, and that's a pretty good symbol for our curriculum, which is a very robust social studies program that broadly covers geography, history, and civics over the course of 6th through 12th grade. So the foundation begins in 6th and 7th grade with a 2-part sequence in world geography with a good dose of history, so that our teacher, Lady Asher, actually calls it histography. And students begin delving into the research process in 7th grade with a History Day project. 8th grade is a course in world religions as it's practiced today in a more contemporary sense. And then 9th grade is the first part of a 2-year sequence in world history. And in the high school, the emphasis really is on developing those research skills. I teach 9th grade, and my students begin with a unit in information literacy and civic online reasoning and develop their ability to analyze current events. And then they reach back into the past and choose a research topic, a historical topic to develop. And some students do compete in the National History Day competition. We've had students competing at the national level every year now for about 8 or so years. In 10th grade, they continue with part 2 of the world history sequence, and in 11th grade, they study US history. And although we don't officially teach an AP curriculum, they are learning the skills and habits of mind in a traditional AP course, and many students do, in fact, take the world history and US history AP courses. And then in 12th grade, they can choose to take comparative politics and government with a semester focusing on the United States and then a semester focusing on international affairs. And so we're able, because of our small class size, as has been mentioned, to really spend a lot of one-on-one time with students, and they do a substantial research project in each of the upper school history classes, and that's a very involved process, but we utilize local resources such as the KU libraries, the Dole Center, and there's a lot of involvement between teacher and student through multiple drafts and so forth. So there's quite a bit of writing across the curriculum in the social studies department too.
Which that's one of the things I love about Seabury, is that kids have an opportunity to write a lot of different ways. So you're not only just writing about things that you read, but you're writing about research, and which is a perfect segue to lead me into Christopher Bryan, and he'll talk a little bit about science, because kids also learn to write in a scientific form as well. But Christopher Bryan is the chair of the science department here, and he's going to talk about the scope and sequence for science in the high school. In middle school, I'll touch on that real quickly, because in middle school are the base science, and I always tell parents whenever they come visit that middle school science is really set up to get a strong foundation, so that when our kids get to Seabury High School science, they are ready to take off and running and exactly know how to write with the scientific method, how to jump into labs and not have to worry about safety. And because we have such small class sizes, labs are a huge piece of the science curriculum. And so it's very important in middle school for kids to have a good foundation for earth science, biology, physics, all of the things that we do, and computers and all of that. So I'm going to ask Christopher to talk about the scope and sequence of our science program, and then especially if I really want you to touch on, if you could, some of the electives that we offer in high school and how those prepare students for college courses. So thanks for doing this.
Absolutely, Leslie. Really, we're after three things in our science scope and sequence, our curriculum: knowledge, tenacity, and enthusiasm. We've been working for years to overcome the idea that science is just a memorization of facts or learning a certain set of skills. We think that doesn't really get it done in a world where there's so much emphasis on STEM and the importance of preparing students for the next generation of science and engineering careers. And by the way, 1 in 2 of our graduates majors in a science or engineering major. And so we want to do a good job in preparing them, but not only with the knowledge and skills, but also the tenacity to do real science, to try experimental science, and maybe experience a little failure and having to redesign and try again. We think that is an aptitude that helps students to be better critical thinkers and problem solvers. And then, of course, if we get to the end of this and they don't still love it and have enthusiasm for it, then what was it worth? And part of our enthusiasm that we try to inject and encourage is also an ethical base for how to use science, not just what can be done, but how should we use it. In high school, we have 3 core courses: biology, in 9th grade, chemistry in 10th grade, and physics in 11th grade. And then we decided to go with a semester model for electives because it allows us to offer more opportunities. We don't believe that students will master any discipline, but especially the sciences and engineering in high school, but we want to give them a chance to taste and see what's out there so they can make better informed decisions about what might be a good fit for them in their careers. And so we offer 4 electives, really 5 in biology, an honors and non-honors elective in genetics and biotechnology, honors and non-honors electives in wilderness biology. It's a field ecology course, but also an environmental ethics course. And then we offer an anatomy and physiology class that we call our medical school, which also encourages students to learn a little bit of diagnosis and treatment, first aid. We offer an advanced chemistry course, 1 semester course, and a course in engineering, and also a computers course. And so students have lots of choices to complete that 4th year of science at our school.
Great, thank you so much for that. I'm gonna stop here just for a second and talk about 2 important things before we move on to Ms. Myers, to Amy. And those are, one is that when we hear a lot about honors program or honors classes versus AP classes, and I wanna clarify, and this is what I tell all parents, and so I wanna make sure that you all hear it too, because a lot of parents, when they come to Seabury, they're only familiar with AP classes. And then they hear a lot about AP exams and kids get college credit and that kind of thing. So how it works at Seabury is we used to be an AP school. Back years ago we were. And what happened was the AP program is great, and it's especially great for big schools that have a lot of students and have a lot of different teachers. What we found when we implemented it at Seabury was that we were whipping through the AP curriculum, and there are some very strict guidelines in that curriculum that you cannot go outside of it. And so basically what was happening was we were getting through the curriculum before the end of the semester or before the end of the year, and then we could not dive deeper or expand on it. So what we decided as a school was to switch to honors classes. So kids still prepare for the AP exam like you've heard. They still take the AP exam. They still get a weighted GPA, but we just call them honors classes instead of AP. And that's always a big question I get from parents when they come through is they'll say, wait, honors, so you guys don't do AP? Well, then my kid can't do this, or we can't get a weighted GPA, and it's just not true. So I just wanted to make sure we had that clarified. And then the second thing I want to talk about moves right into Miss Myers, and that is our language program here at the school. So in middle school, our students take Latin. Everybody takes Latin in 7th and 8th grade. And basically over those 2 years, they get Latin 1 under their belt. So then in 9th grade, the choices are you can either stick with Latin or you can switch to Spanish or French. And one of the cool things about Seabury that I think is really shows the importance and the value of language is that in 7th grade, our Spanish and our French teachers teach Latin. And then in 8th grade, Miss Myers, who's our Latin teacher, teaches Latin. So the students are not only getting a taste for what those teachers' personalities are like, so they can mesh with someone when they want to learn a language, but they also see the connection between all the languages that we teach and Latin. So I wanted to make sure I got that out there. And then Amy, I'm going to give you an opportunity to talk about language at the high school level. And then also if you would touch on our international trips and kind of how those connect to our languages, that'd be great.
Sure, I'd be happy to, Leslie. At Seabury in high school, students are required to take 3 consecutive years of a language. So usually whatever language they choose in 9th grade, they stick with through their junior year, although there are exceptions to that. But so we encourage students in the 8th grade to take a week to write an essay and visit other language classes to make sure that they're really getting the right language for them. And like I said, because they'll be in that language for 3 consecutive years, and we feel really strongly about 3 consecutive years of the same language in order to help students develop an amount of proficiency and fluency. Like the sciences, I think it is very difficult for a student to really master a language in 4 years of high school, but we certainly do many different things in order to build their proficiency and to build their skills in speaking, reading, writing, and listening. And if students do decide to come back for a 4th year, which we do have really good retention in our seniors for our 4th year, they are eligible to qualify for the seal of biliteracy from the state of Kansas, which goes into their transcript and is an award that they win. And it's great for them to be able to show that they are competent in 2 languages. So I think that's a really important part of what we do. And we do try very hard, again, to help students elevate their skills as they want. And we try to work individually with students to help them achieve their language goals and accomplish all that they want to accomplish. And one way I think that we help them do that is to encourage them to do summer programs in their language, to do immersion programs in their language or in other languages. We don't just restrict them to the ones that we offer. And also we offer during our 2-week spring break trip an international trip. And those trips destinations usually coincide with the languages that we teach. So we visit France, we visit Spanish-speaking countries, we go to Greece and Italy to get a very good idea of ancient Rome and ancient Greece. And we've also recently added China to our 5 trips that we do in a 5-year cycle. And it was really great and really successful. So we're always open to trying to help our students get out there in the world and really experience things firsthand and get an opportunity to speak with native speakers and practice their skills.
Great, thanks, Amy. You know, we are all just itching to get back to those international trips, right? If we could all just get back to normal. Okay, 2 more people that are very important to the school, and they are both involved with things that become electives in high school for sure. Eric Nelson is our athletic director at the school, and he does a great job of keeping all of our student athletes under his careful and watchful eye, which we are all thankful for. Eric also teaches chemistry at the school, so he's involved that way as well. At our school, we have a non-cut policy. So if you want to go out for a sport or a play or anything like that, you can do it. And that's one of the things that I love about the school, is that every team almost always have what I call a never ever on the team. So someone who's never ever played volleyball or never ever done this. And I think in this day and age, when kids are so pressed in like their club teams to be super competitive and be the best and practice year round and all that, it's really refreshing for them to be on a team with someone who hasn't done it, and they learn that it's not always about trying to be the number one or the top, but sometimes it's about helping that new 6th grader or that new 11th grader come along and learn the sport. And it's a real flip in how they're sometimes used to thinking about things out on the field. And Eric does a phenomenal job of keeping our athletic department and our extracurriculars competitive. We play in the 2A level in Keisha in terms of athletics and fine arts and drama and forensics and all of that. We're a 2A. The biggest schools are 6A and we're 2A. And so Eric, I'm going to go through the sports and you make sure I get them right. And then I'm going to have you talk about the leagues and kind of how that works. Okay. So in the fall, co-ed is cross country, volleyball for girls, soccer for boys. Winter, basketball across the board. And then in the spring, we offer soccer for the girls. For the boys, well, we have co-ed tennis, co-ed golf, and co-ed track and field in the spring. We also have 5 theater productions a year that are also non-cut, like I said. And so kids have an opportunity for all of those things to happen. But Eric, I'm going to let you talk about kind of how it works with athletics and our coaches and that kind of thing.
Okay, well, thank you. My name's Eric. I've been the AD here at Seabury for 11 years now. And I feel that the most important part of my job is to hire qualified adult professionals to coach all of our teams. And I am, I think, becoming more and more successful at that. My goal is to give a positive and fulfilling experience for all of the athletes at Seabury in the sports programs. One thing that I'm very proud about, especially currently, is a very low turnover. And one thing that I think anybody who follows athletics will realize is that low turnover is a very important part of being successful in sports. Look at any established basketball or football program, and their coaches are the same year after year. My people in there are like 20 coaches in the program. Many of them have been with us, some up to 11 years. And I'm very proud of the fact that these people have other jobs, many of them, and they come back to us every year. And the reason is that our kids are respectful. They try hard. They're not all superstars, as Leslie pointed out, but it's a really great culture. Our parents are involved. They're not overbearing. I'm reasonably easy to work with, and I have really good people. One thing I would point out, there are 64 2A schools in the state of Kansas, and the 2A size is ultra competitive and very, very difficult to win at. I'm going to sound a little bit braggy, but here was in a nutshell this year, and this was 2/3 of the year was played before the virus caused us to cancel. We had this year, we had the 2A runner of the year in the state of Kansas. We had the 2A basketball player of the year in the state of Kansas. We had the 2A coach of the year in the state of Kansas. We had a cross-country state champion. Our basketball team was 22-2 and was still winning when the tournament was canceled. Their record was 22-2 in the Final Four. Our current senior class has in the neighborhood of 35 kids. And just looking through the list, at least 5 of those kids are college level athletes out of 35 kids. I feel that we're an attractive choice for college recruiters because our kids are very qualified academically. Just by going to Seabury, the bar is higher academically, and many of those coaches don't have to sweat worrying if the kid can handle an academic load in college and be an athlete at the same time. Our athletes, a student athlete at Seabury is a very meaningful statement because these kids deal with an amount of academic, professionalism and work that, frankly, it's difficult to match elsewhere. Okay, to our leagues. Our middle school plays in an established league in Kansas City. It's called the Metro Private School League, and it's a definitely a developmental experience in middle school. But we have good kids that play to win in middle school as well. And we mix that in with kids who are taking sports up for the first time. And as Leslie pointed out, it's great to see the more experienced kids help the less experienced ones. But they'll play, 10 or 15 times per year, for example, in basketball. Our middle school cross country team has been just really good the last few years. They'll run every week, seven meets and a league meet. So our middle school program is very developed, and I'm very proud of their work. Our high school, we've been an independent at Seabury since I took this job, and that means we get to play up in classification, and we do so almost every single week of the year. We'll play up to 6A competition, even though we're a 2A, and we play a handful of 1A schools too. But generally, we'll play 3A, 4A, because that is what there are a lot of those size schools in the metro area. Finally, I would say we're gonna be in a conference starting next school year, and I'm very excited about that. The final thing is that I'm a dad here at Seabury, and I think I would be remiss if I did not say that my son is a senior and was born during an awards night 18 years ago. I was coaching a junior high basketball team, and I've been lucky enough to have both of my kids. My daughter will be a sophomore next year, and I feel like my kids will show up at school at 7:45 most of the time, and they're here because they're multi-sport athletes until 5:30. And I just could not be happier that they are around this peer group and coaches that are my friends and that I've hired. I really sleep well at night knowing that they're going to be challenged with this great peer group, that they're going to be competitive, learn how to be athletic and supportive and all of those things. So I'm very proud of the athletic programs here, and thanks for watching.
Thanks, Eric. Here's what happens in real life when I'm in Eric's room on a tour. In real life, when I'm in there, he gets going.
Sorry.
And I open his classroom door and I say, we're done, we're leaving, we're done. So this is great. I could mute him, I have that capability. Okay, last but not least, and we are having we have not been disconnected. We haven't froze, knock on wood. I shouldn't have even said that. But anyway, so Laura is going to talk with us about the fine arts program at Seabury. I'm going to really quickly run through what CHAD is here at Seabury. So CHAD is 4 things: computer, health, art, and drama. Those 4 things the kids all get in addition to PE and choir. So there are 6 things that kids have in 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. The CHAD classes they get for 9 weeks each. So they'll do computers 9, health 9, art 9, drama 9, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. PE and choir, they swap every other day, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. Then in 9th grade, those 6 classes turn into some form of an elective. So the kids all through middle school have an opportunity to get a taste for things, figure out how it works, and then in 9th grade, they can dive in with these things as their electives. So Laura, I'm gonna ask you to talk about the kind of how fine arts, the graduation requirement that we have at Seabury, and how you work, Chad, in your visual arts, and how your visual arts program kind of goes into high school, because I think one of the things is it's really important to our community that we have fine arts as a part of the required curriculum. And it is an important piece of, and it's a valuable thing for us, and it's something that we are not going to get rid of. So I want to have you kind of explain how that works for kids here, please.
Hey, thanks, Leslie. Hi, everybody. The Fine Arts program, I'm director of it, and I try to represent the drama and music side of it, but I am the visual arts teacher. And I have students from 6th grade on up, and I am lucky enough to hit every single student at least for 3 years, which is really wonderful because I get to see my students and get to know them as they progress on up to graduating. I have 6th grade art where I just take the opportunity in a short 9-week period to dip their toes in it, let them experience it. I have kids from all different schools around town. I have students with different skill levels, and I want to remove any fear they may have, which some do have for visual arts, and just let them experience very different assignments to see where they can find their niche, and I can learn that pretty quickly and build their confidence and have it be a positive experience. 7th grade, I start getting into vocabulary, the language of art, the elements and principles of art, which are universal. And they learn that so that they can build on that with compositional things that they do later on, whether it's sculptural or drawing, painting. Everything has to start with the drawing and understanding of those principles. And then, so in 7th grade, it's the language, and then 8th grade, because it's really age appropriate, we delve into 3-dimensional artwork using the same concept, same language, same elements, same principles of art, and they learn to express that 3-dimensionally with carving, subtractive, additive method, and then building, assemblage. So they get a taste of that, and famous artists that go along with those genres. And then in 9th grade on, obviously, my visual arts becomes a elective where students can choose to take it up to, they need to have 2 years of fine arts, but they can take it for a semester or a whole year, and then they can revisit that ongoing throughout their high school experience. And if they aren't into the visual arts, they certainly can get a real good experience with either drama, theater, forensics, debate, or they can go into the musical choir arts, which obviously we have fantastic program in all those areas. And we just seek to enrich their world and recognize and identify cross-curriculum teaching, because the arts tie in so well with so many different genres that we want them to increase their worldview through that enrichment.
Great. Thank you so much. Okay, I'll stop recording this in a minute, but I do want to real quickly before we go, first of all, thank you all so much for doing this. I know it's such a weird time, and I wish that people could actually come in and see you in your classrooms and see you with students, but it's just not possible right now. So we'll do the next best thing. My 2 kids that graduated from Seabury, I always tell parents this, and I want you all to hear it too, because I think it's good for you to hear. But they went to college, and when they came back after their first year of college, I said, okay, tell me what was the biggest surprise after your freshman year that you can tell me about. And I said, I don't really want to hear the things you can't tell me, but what can you tell me? And they separately both said they could not believe that their peers didn't take advantage of their professors' office hours. And I thought to myself, I didn't tell them to do that when they went to college. And so I know that it's because of the relationships they made with the teachers at Seabury and how open you all are and how willing you are to have them students come. So thank you all for that. And I hope that these parents will have an opportunity to come see you in action and you'll get to meet their students. So I'm going to push stop recording here, but thank you parents for watching. Thank you teachers for being here, and we'll see you on the other side of this crazy time we're in.